So when I recommend what fruit trees people should have, depending what your goal is, if you want to have it for just have fruit all year, jackfruit, banana, mamey, mango, and white sapote are fruits that you could definitely freeze, and they freeze well. This is the way most people freeze their mangoes. They cut them up and they put them in a plastic bag. Yes, I freeze my mangoes whole like this. It definitely maintains the flavor better when you freeze them whole. This is a big bag of frozen jackfruit. I wouldn't do this again. I would do smaller bags of this next time. Here is the white sapote. We're gonna let a couple of these thaw out, and then we're gonna try these today. And I'm telling you, I love mango, but I'll take a frozen white sapote over a frozen mango any day. Fresh is always best. You can't eat all of the fresh food that's out there. It's just too much.
Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees. You know, with all the different types of fruit trees that are out there, if you don't have a big yard or a big space to plant a lot of trees, you do have a tough decision in what trees you're going to want to grow and what trees you're not going to want to grow, and what you're going to do with the fruit. Like, what's your goal with the fruit when it comes to growing trees? And my goal as a vegetarian or vegan, I'm a raw foodist, I only eat fruits and vegetables. My goal is to have as much food as possible that I grow myself to consume. Here I am in my yard, and I'm about to put my garden in for the winter. And summer fruit is done away with, no more. The season's over for summer fruit, and now we're getting some different fruits for this season. However, when we do get fruit, for example, bananas, when we get bananas, there's a ton of bananas on a tree. And we can't possibly eat all those bananas, especially if we get more than one rack. So what are we to do? Well, you could dry them, which I don't necessarily think is healthy or like to do. I don't like to take the liquid out of the food if I don't have to. But you can freeze them. Now, fresh is always best, but freezing fruit will definitely preserve fruit. Now, some fruit freezes better than other fruits. And today on the show, we're going to talk about preserving the fruit that you're growing and how to do that, the best ways to do that, and what are the best fruits to do that. So we're going to talk about that today on the show. I'm also going to show you my neighbor who's been doing this a lot longer than me in terms of freezing his fruit and what he's doing. So we're going to have a chat with him as well. So one of the fruits that I'm going to be talking about today is this tree here. This is my white sapote tree. And every year I cut this tree back because it's a very, very big tree. And not only do I have one, I have 5 white sapote trees, and I want to get more. Today you're going to see why I want to get more. But this is a very underrated tree. I definitely recommend people get it. So I'm going to go to my kitchen now, and I'm going to talk a little about frozen or freezing your fruits to preserve them throughout the year. So here we go.
And we are in the house today. We are going to do a little different video today, but something that's going to bless you tremendously. This is my kitchen, and we get most of our fruit here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and South Florida in the summertime. We do get fruits in the wintertime. In the wintertime, we have persimmons. There's only 2 types of persimmons that really grow here well, the tropical persimmons. We get black sapote, and unless you know the best varieties to get, they don't taste the best, but they're a good fruit because they're available in the winter. So we get black sapote, we get Sapote, also known as Níspero. That'll come in the wintertime. So we also get star fruit in the wintertime. But for the most part, most of the fruit comes in the summertime. And often more fruit than we could just eat, we could even eat. So, so what do? So we freeze our fruit. And I always say, what are the best trees to get? Those are the ones that the food's not going to go to waste. And the food's never going to go to waste because eventually we can give it away or we could sell it. But if we want the food for ourselves, we can only eat so much. So this is why I like the fruits that you could freeze. So bananas are excellent. You could freeze those. Mangoes are excellent. You could freeze those. And mamey, even, you could freeze those. So some fruits freeze well and some fruits don't. But when we talk about mangoes and freezing mangoes, there's different way to freeze mangoes. So today I'm going to show you how I freeze my mangoes. But even more important, there's a fruit that I love that grows here in South Florida that's really a lot of the country doesn't know about it because it doesn't grow well other places except California. It's an amazing fruit. I would say the most underrated fruit, and that is called white sapote. White sapote. When people ask sapote, they often get confused because there's mame sapote, black sapote, white sapote. I think sapote just means soft in Spanish, I think, possibly, or some other language, but it means soft. So there's a lot of different types of sapotes out there, or fruits that have sapote in the name, but this is white sapote. And I have several trees of white sapote. It's such an underrated fruit. I think everyone in South Florida that's growing fruit trees should have them. They're delicious, and they give more fruit than you could eat. They're in competition with the mango trees. They give a lot of fruit.
But look at the size of this guy.
Yeah, some of these get big.
I went to the DR. I would go to the DR a lot. And I would go to Hipolito's farm. And I would see these at the supermarket. But little tiny ones like the Homestead. And it was a common fruit sold at the supermarket. So I was like, man, I'm going to blow these people's minds. So I'm going to bring them some budwood of Redlands. I bought budwood one year, and like a couple of years later, I'm getting phone calls from like his workers and stuff that they have, you know, his grafters. Oh, I have this planted at my house. What the hell is this? I've never seen anything like this before in my life. It's the Redlands. And what they call it over there is pera criolla, which means just common pear or tropical. I call it tropical pear.
So I'm going to show you today what I do. I freeze my white sapotes. And I've tried this a couple of years ago and it was great. Last year I tried it, was nice. This year it's absolutely amazing because I froze a big amount of it. So I'm going to turn the camera around now. I'm going to show you the freezer that I use and the difference of the different freezers. And I'm going to show you the way I freeze my mangoes as well. So here we go. Okay, so this is a chest freezer as opposed to a freezer you would get, just a normal freezer. The chest freezer, for me, for some reason, it seems like it definitely makes everything colder. So I guess it's a colder freezer. There's a dial here that I have. I stopped it because it could be a refrigerator also, but I put tape over it so my little baby doesn't mess around with that. But basically, it could be a freezer or a fridge. They even have a lock on it that you could add, and I haven't put that on. So basically, it's a chest freezer, and you can get this at Costco or maybe Home Depot or somewhere for $200, $199. What a great investment. And I used to freeze my things in the regular freezer, in the freezer, but now I use this and I like it better. So you open this up, and you see here it's already half empty, or we can say half full, depending on how you're going to look at it. Yes, you know, we've been eating it. So these are the mangoes. Yes, I freeze my mangoes whole like this. And it would be nice if I would have wrote the name on some of them, on all of them, but I wrote the name on some of them. But it definitely maintains the flavor better when you freeze them whole. So this one I believe is a lemon meringue. I could tell from the shape. So when my mangoes are ripe, I freeze them. Now I do have some mangoes. This is the way most people freeze their mangoes. They cut them up and they put them in a plastic bag. So this definitely has more flavor than this. The secret to eating this is when they thaw out, you could either, when they're half frozen, you could scoop them out with a spoon out of the skin and put them right into a blender and make a blended drink. Or when they're even a little bit more frozen, you eat them and they're like ice cream right out of the mango. They're delicious. So that's the mango. I also have here, that's the mango. I have this. This is jackfruit. A whole bag of jackfruit. And I have several bags of jackfruit. Now, with the jackfruit, this is something I just learned. This is a big bag of frozen jackfruit. I wouldn't do this again. I would freeze only small bags because now if I want to get jackfruit, I have to let this whole bag thaw out for me to get a few pieces of jackfruit. So I would do smaller bags of this next time. But that's jackfruit. I got jackfruit, all these different mangoes. And here is the white sapote. And I was experimenting with the best way to do it. And these I just put straight in the freezer. But then I put some of these in the bag. And they both look like it worked both ways. You put them on, skin and all. You wait till they're ripe and you put them in. And we're going to let a couple of these thaw out. And then we're going to try these today. That's going to be my lunch for this today. And so basically, we'll let a mango thaw out also, but these thaw out faster than the mango. Maybe 1 or 2 hours, these will be ready. Same thing for the mango. So that's the way to do it. So we're gonna let them thaw out, and then we'll cut them open and check them out. Now here they are in my sink, and I have my mangoes and my white sapote. And this is a bigger white sapote. This is the Redland variety. I have 2 trees that fruited last year. And these are also Redland, but they're smaller. So they're normally this size. But sometimes they're bigger.
But some of these grow small too. They don't, for years I was small.
It's all about how well they get pollinated. So I think this doesn't self-pollinate very good. When they self-pollinate, it makes small fruit with hardly no seeds in it.
It's interesting you say that, because my neighbor had a tree, and they were always small. Then when I put my tree in, his went to that size. Just like what you're saying.
The bees started.
Now with the pollination, there have to be 2 different varieties?
Yeah.
And then I have my 3 mangoes here, and I wrote on this one, I could see I wrote sweet tart. So that's the sweet tart. So you see there's a little frost on them. So I'm just gonna, you could do this with warm water, but I'm just doing it with any water. And it takes the frost off. And if you want them to get thawed out quicker, you can put warm water and let them just sit there. But I'm just not gonna do that. I'm just gonna to get the little icicle frost off there. And I'm just gonna let this sit there. I'd say in less than 2 hours, maybe within an hour, they'd be ready. Definitely if you soak them in warm water, they'd be ready quicker. But yes, when I cut these open, I'll show you how they look, and this is great.
Now other than Redlands, there's
Sue Belle.
I have Sue Belle.
Denzler. McDill. Well, you tried Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta try these back to back. I had one the other day. And yeah, that one reminds me more of like flan. Mm-hmm. The Campbell. Yeah. And then Young Hands has his own flavor too. You have Homestead?
Yeah.
It's a small one.
In the ground.
It's a small one.
A lot of people didn't know you could freeze mangoes whole like this. But even more important, a lot of people don't know you could freeze white sapote. And I'm telling you, I love mango, but I'll take a frozen white sapote over a frozen mango any day, and you'll see in the camera what I'm talking about. Now, if you let these thaw out too much, they're not as tasty as if you let them stay a little frozen. These, same thing. You want them a little frozen. So we'll be back here when these thaw out, and we'll continue the video.
This tree, I used to have 3 different varieties on this tree. I used to have Woolly Leaf, Smathers Woolly Leaf, or they're called Blue Menthol, and Homestead and Redland. I had all 3 in one tree. And for some reason, those other 2 died and the Redland stayed. But I didn't care because I wasn't a fan of Smathers, and I wasn't a fan of Homestead.
What about Denzler?
Denzler? I haven't really tried a good Denzler yet. And McDill, I haven't tried McDill either.
That just fell out of a tree.
Okay, this is Young Hands.
Nothing on there.
There's fruit on it, but they're premature. There's a whole bunch of fruit on it. I used to have a big tree, and then some hurricane killed it, and luckily I had another one. And I got this from Mrs. Younghand's house. She was like in her 90s, and I went to her house in Coconut Grove, like in the late 90s. I was like in my 20s, in my mid 20s, and I was interested in this variety.
You don't care for that variety, though.
Which one?
The Young Hands.
I do care for that variety a lot. It's also known as Golden Sapote. And it's way better than Redlands.
Is it?
It's way better than Redlands.
Does it get as big?
Yeah. Yeah, get like this big.
So, what would you of all the other white sapotes you've had? Would you compare it close to any others?
Young hands.
Young hands.
Yeah, young hands still has a slightly bitter aftertaste, but that would be like number 2 on my list. Young hands.
Okay. Have you tasted a lot from California?
No.
Do you know anyone that has this tree?
Well, a lot of people have purchased this tree already.
I mean, okay, so I'm going to taste this. Julian's been talking about this a long time, and he likes it so much. He says the best he's ever tasted, and he actually is propagating this and selling these in 1 gallons. He has them now. So this is my first one of this supposedly the best you've ever tasted, and you've tasted a lot. So here we go. And I've tasted a lot of white sapote. Might be one of the best
fruits I've ever tasted.
Wow. Wow.
No bitter aftertaste.
No tartness at all. The only thing is a big seed, right?
Yeah, there's seeds in there.
Juicy. Wow.
Flan? Does it taste like flan, like caramel?
That was a big seed, but wow. Now, amazing. How easy it is to graft this if you had the budwood onto an existing white sapote. Are they pretty easy to do?
Oh, you just top work it. That's just like anything else. And they're pretty easy with some buddy tape.
Wow. It was worth it. And you have them on your website, right?
Yeah. From time to time, they sell out quick. But I'm always making them, so they always come back on.
I'd have to agree.
It's the bomb.
Amazing.
Let me tell you, it just knocked me off my feet when I first tried it. I'm telling you, it's your lucky day, man. You got a perfectly ripe one.
Okay, everybody, so here are the fruits. They're thawed out now, and this is the white sapote, and this is the mango. I have 3 different types of mangoes. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm going to just show you. We'll go to the sweet tart here. So it still has some little icicles around it, but it's not completely thawed out. It's thawed out enough where it's soft enough where I can eat it. If it gets any softer than this, the only way you're going to enjoy it is if you're going to put it inside a blender in a smoothie. But I just cut it open, and look, it opens up just like that. Now the seeds in this part, look at that color on that sweet tart. And if I had a spoon, I would just take the spoon here. I only have the knife, and I would just spoon it right out and eat it. But even without the spoon, I can cut it again here, like this. And I can just eat it like this. It's perfect. And sweet tart is really good frozen. Some mangoes are better than others frozen. This is the first time I'm tasting a frozen sweet tart mango, and wow. That is amazing. So you see here the consistency, it's starting to thaw out too much, where if it gets like that, it's not as good. So in that case, you want to put it in a blender. Never mind, that was great. But the other side of that, which is still a little frozen, but soft, is wow. Absolutely amazing. So that's how to freeze mango. Now let's go to the white sapote. Now, the peel on the white sapote, this is frozen, thawed out, is edible. Like I said, this will thaw out faster than the mango, maybe because of the consistency, plus the size is smaller. But the peel on the white sapote is edible. Some varieties, the skin might be a little bit more bitter than the others. But the cool thing about this is, even if it's not frozen, if it was fresh, the peel comes off pretty easy. But when this is frozen, if you want to take the peel off, it comes off super easy. I usually don't do that. Now there are seeds in, so that's how it looks like with the peel and peel off. There are seeds in white sapote, usually one big seed in the middle, and then smaller seeds on the side. So there it is. That's just the skin hanging off. The skin comes off really easy on this. So this side doesn't have any seed and this side does. So it's usually one seed in the middle, and sometimes there's a couple of flat seeds in there. So we're going to try the white Sapote now. Wow. There's a little tiny seed, but wow. Wow. As good as that mango was, that is absolutely amazing. And there's a flat seed. So there's one big seed in the middle, and then there's like a little flat seeds like that within it. Now, you're only going to be able to eat white Sapotes if you have a tree and know somebody who does, because they get soft really fast and they don't ship well. So you're not going to find anyone selling this in stores or shipping them. But if you are going to eat frozen fruit like this, you might not want to do it in a cold environment, because even though I live in a hot environment such as South Florida, this really makes you cold, because you are, after all, eating frozen fruit. And fresh is always best. Fresh is always best, but you got to do what you got to do, and you can't eat all of the fresh food that's out there. It's just too much. And so that's a great way. So when I recommend what fruit trees people should have, depending what your goal is, if you want to have it for just have fruit all year, jackfruit, banana, mamey, mango, and white Sapote are fruits that you could definitely freeze, and they freeze well. Okay, you can also freeze. A great trick is a persimmon. There are two types of persimmon. The astringent type, you can't eat it hard. You gotta wait till it gets soft. But if you put it in the freezer hard, let it freeze, and then take it out of the freezer, it'll be soft. It speeds up that process and takes out the astringent. So persimmon is something else that can be frozen really well. I mean, I hear people freeze avocados. I actually haven't tasted an avocado frozen, so I don't know how that'll work, or if it'll be good or not. And I suppose there's other fruits you can freeze. But these fruits that I'm showing you now, these two specifically, white Sapote and mango, definitely trees to have if you're here in South Florida. And there's different varieties. Mangoes, I have so many videos on the different varieties. That's sort of white Sapote. The best ones, Redlands, that's the one I'm eating now, is delicious. Sue Belle's delicious. In California, they have a whole bunch of different varieties of white Sapotes that they do in Florida, and some do better than the others. And there's about maybe 7 or 8 varieties here in Florida that you can get that supposedly will do okay. But the Homestead, the Redlands, these are more of the more popular ones out here. Lara Farms has one now called a Campbell, Campbell, Campbell. And that one's really good as well, and you can get that at laurafarmsmiami.com. And many nurseries sell the other different varieties. I know there's a place called Xain's World in West Palm Beach, Florida, a great nursery, actually in Loxahatchee, Florida, and they have a lot of the newer varieties, the different varieties of the white Sapote. And of course, Lara Farms always has different varieties of all these different fruits. So check all your local nurseries, especially here in South Florida. I recommend a lot of them when I do my videos. And ask them if they have white Sapote and what they got, because I know there's a couple of other places that do have them. Those are just two of the ones that come to my mind at the moment. I'll put their information below if you're looking for white Sapote trees. I'm going to sit here and enjoy this. And as for the mangoes, wow, this sweetheart frozen is delicious. Look at that color. Look at that. That is freshness, even though it's frozen. Look, white Sapote and mango frozen. In now October. And I could be eating this all summer, all winter, and everything. It's great. All right, everybody, have a great day. And let me also tell you one more thing. If you have a freezer here in South Florida, we do get storms, and some places like my place, they lose power all the time. So have a backup in mind, maybe a generator. If you don't have a generator, you don't want to lose all that fruit that you saved all year to freeze. So if you don't have a generator, maybe have somebody nearby who has a freezer as well. as a possible second location, just in case. Something to consider. Okay? So the things I love about the white sapote and the mango, that you could freeze them single, so you could just throw one out. Unlike the jackfruit, it's the whole bag. The banana is the whole bag. So, like that trick I figured out, or what I told you before, if you're going to freeze mangoes or jackfruit, do them in smaller bags, so you don't have to throw out a whole bag just to get them. All right, everybody.
All right, everybody. That man in there was Julian from Lara Farms. I was on his farm and he was talking about white sapote. I found it so intriguing, and I just want to get more white sapote trees now. And it's very interesting because this summer I had so much fruit off this that I didn't know what to do with it all. And I experimented with freeze it in the past, but I never thought it would be as good as it is. I mean, well, I knew it was, but I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, how can I have so much fruit? I let some of it just went to waste. It was just too much on there. But now I'll never have too much because I'll freeze every single one to get what I need. And I can't get enough of this tree. Amazing tree, and something I definitely recommend. I'll put the link below to Julian at laurafarmsmiami.com, and check him out because he has several of these different varieties. If he doesn't have these varieties, a lot of the other nurseries I go and visit in South Florida has some different varieties. There are various different sizes and varieties, so go and check out as many as you can and see what you can find. But I definitely recommend getting the white sapote fruit. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Have a great day and keep growing.
For more educational videos about mangoes and other fruits and how to grow fruit trees, please look out the other videos on this channel, Fruitful Trees, and also subscribe if you like, and also share these videos with others. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and keep growing.